In the dazzling and bustling city of Lagos, with various car horn honking left, right, center, people crossing the road, rain pouring down on people walking on the streets, children trying to get to various bus joints as they were trying to return back home, there lived this beautiful lady called SHALEWA. SHALEWA is a very decent lady. She sold on the market. She wasn't the regular kind of pretty girl, but she was a very nice lady. While she was still hawking her fresh agege bread, even under this rain, but the bread was properly covered with a nylon bag, a very beautiful black luxurious car had passed her and splashed water on her. SHALEWA was offended. She stood in front of the car and refused to let go. The driver had come to apologize to her with a huge sum of money, but SHALEWA refused and insisted that the boss come down to apologize, knowing fully well that that road was bad and everybody that had passed drove with care. So why was he in a hurry to nowhere? If he knew he was late for his appointment, he would have left on time. So she told the driver, but the boss, a rude, pompous man, BIDEMI, refused to come down from the car. SHALEWA stood there and threatened to call area boys for them if he doesn't come down from the car. And that was when BIDEMI knew that if he does not come down from that car, he will see trouble and know how bad it can be. So BIDEMI came down from the car, and when he did, his driver quickly covered him with a black umbrella. He walked towards SHALEWA. He looked at her from the crown of her hair to the sole of her feet. He looked at her twice and asked her, "Who are you?" SHALEWA was trying to understand the stupid question BIDEMI was asking her. He looked at her again and asked her, "Who are you?" SHALEWA didn't want to answer. Obviously, who she was wasn't important. It was what he had done that was important. He should apologize for what he had done. Whether he drove the car or his driver did, he was the one on top, so he should apologize for what had happened. BIDEMI looked at her again and told her, "Madam, I don't have your time. And I don't like people that enjoy wasting the time of others." He looked at his driver. "Kunle, give her the money. Is that not what she wants? All she needs to do is to get herself a new clothes. And the money we are giving to her will get her 10 of that. Can't you see she's putting on rags?" SHALEWA looked at this man and asked him again, "Can't you apologize for what had happened? Do you think I need your money? I am okay with my life. I don't need your money." BIDEMI looked at SHALEWA and said, "You're too ugly to speak. You're too filthy to talk. Accept the money and let me leave." SHALEWA looked at him and said, "No problem, sir." And she told him, "Give me the money yourself." BIDEMI didn't bother about it. He quickly collected the money from Kunle and stretched his hands to give the money to SHALEWA. SHALEWA collected the money, but while she was collecting the money, she made some incantation. She said a lot of things in her dialect that BIDEMI could not even understand. This wasn't the regular Yoruba. She said it in her own dialect. And she collected the money and told him, "Thank you, Eshi." And BIDEMI left. While he was in his car, he kept on lamenting. He couldn't stop lamenting. He kept on telling Kunle, "Why is it that poor people are pompous? Can you imagine that filthy lady? So all she needed was for me to give her the money myself. Maybe I would have done that. Do you know how many minutes of my time she wasted? And I guess now the board meeting has started. Or she thought I was just waking up now. Does she know the time I wake up every day to be able to fix my life? I wake up 4:30 every damn morning. Can you imagine that lady? You already apologized to her, so what is she going to use the apology to bait herself?" Kunle could not respond to his boss. And he didn't know why his boss was flaring up for no good reason. All he needed to do was to say he was sorry. Whether it was sincere or not, he would have just said the sorry rather than throwing huge sum of money away. But Kunle could not say a word. If he didn't want BIDEMI to transfer the anger to him, he kept quiet. And it got to the board meeting. While at the board meeting, BIDEMI couldn't pay attention. He kept on remembering SHALEWA. And that was when it clicked that SHALEWA actually said something while receiving that money. And those words weren't clear to him. But he quickly swept it under the carpet and tried to focus. After the activities of the day, BIDEMI had returned home, had a very beautiful dinner, and went to bed. But to his greatest surprise, when he woke up the next morning, he had had his bath, as BIDEMI was an early bird. BIDEMI starts his day as early as 4:30. That was how his parents brought him up. The Lagos traffic and everything was something BIDEMI wasn't ready for. He was living close to his office, but he was always the first person to get to his office. He was the CEO, but he came earlier than anybody apart from the security man. And because of that, his driver Kunle tends to wake up as early as that. In fact, Kunle's family started going to school early because of BIDEMI, as Kunle has to wake up every day as early as 4:30. Prepare the same time BIDEMI was preparing for work, because if he was not standing close to the car as early as 5, BIDEMI was going to fire him. So his life was rubbing off on Kunle's family. When BIDEMI woke up, he had finished having his bath, and while he was standing in front of his dressing mirror, spraying his deodorant, laughing and dancing to the latest Olamide song, he looked closely at the mirror. His lips were big, his eyes popping out as if they were about to fall out. He couldn't believe. He closed his eyes and looked again, and to his greatest surprise, he was as ugly as an O. He screamed, but there was no one living in his home with him. He fell down to the floor and rose up again and looked again, and he was the definition of ugly. Ugly. BIDEMI became angry. And he told himself, I know. Oh, my instincts will never fail me. I know it's that lady. I remember that she said something. I know she said something. He told himself she must undo that thing today. Today, she must undo it. So he quickly called Kunle on the phone and told Kunle to get ready, that they were heading out as early as. And he was ready to wait at that same spot for SHALEWA to appear, that ugly lady to appear. BIDEMI dressed very well, as he didn't want Kunle to see what was wrong with his face. He wore dark shades and even covered his face with nose marks. But when they got to the spot, SHALEWA did not even appear. They had asked everybody in the market about this lady, this ugly looking lady, straight leg and everything. No one knew her. No one knew who they were trying to describe. An old woman had told them, even if you stand here, you're not going to see her. And they quickly asked her, do you know her, the person we are looking for? The woman said no, and said that most bread hawkers change position depending on where they feel will favor them. No one remain at a particular spot unless the person owns a shop there. And if you can remember, she was hawking it on her head. So she must have trekked to the front, or is still even yet to get to the spot. BIDEMI and Kunle cancelled all his appointments for that day, and they parked their car at a particular spot, waiting for SHALEWA to pass. But SHALEWA never passed. There was no one like SHALEWA on that street. So BIDEMI knew he couldn't face his investors looking like an ugly pig. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to say. The whole effect of SHALEWA's course was getting worse by day. His eyes kept on bulging out. His lips kept on increasing. The nose marks and sunglasses weren't even doing justice when it comes to covering. So he decided to only do Zoom meeting. He barely came out. Most times he sent an email to everybody. But that wasn't the life of BIDEMI. BIDEMI was used to going out every day, carrying out the day-to-day activities, meeting the investors one-on-one. BIDEMI had to go get someone, make him a face cap, and some other things to be able to cover his face, just in case he had something to do that warranted him coming out. Aside that, BIDEMI was always at home. Every information he needed to pass to his workers, he did them through email, Zoom meeting that they barely saw his face, and so many others. And that was when BIDEMI knew the definition of ugly. He barely came out of his house. He was like the beasts that never wanted to be seen. One fateful evening, he decided to go out for a stroll. He was already tired of locking himself inside. And the moment he got to his estate, kids were laughing at him. They laughed so loud and called him the ugly monkey. BIDEMI felt embarrassed, and he vowed never to come out from his house again. He was always inside. In fact, even Kule barely came into the house. Whatsoever BIDEMI wanted was dropped by his door. The moment the person had left, he was going to get them in by himself. He sacked all his workers, he sacked all his maids, because he had overheard them talking about his ugly look. So he sacked everyone. BIDEMI was left alone. He did everything by himself. He cooked, he cleaned, he did his dishes, everything. BIDEMI then realized that it was his own mistake. If he had just said sorry, if only he had just said sorry, all this wouldn't have happened. BIDEMI tried. He did everything possible to get to that lady, but it wasn't possible. So every day he and Kunle went there, SHALEWA never passed. They had even at a point collected various people's number just in case they see this lady they were describing. But no one got back to them that they had seen SHALEWA. This was the life BIDEMI had to live all the days of his life. So with the passing days, BIDEMI made up his mind that he was only going to go out for a stroll at 10 p.m. That was when most people were already indoors. No one was coming out or anything. He needed to get breeze. He was not going to remain locked up in his house forever. And during this period, while he was strolling one evening, he sat down in front of the estate gate, just looking around, observing the cars. Deep down, he was crying. He was begging God for a second chance, just one second chance to meet this lady that had laid a curse on him. So while he was at this, a lady had come to sit down close to him. This lady was looking tattered. Not just that she was looking tattered, she even had this bad body odor. BIDEMI shifted a bit as he hates people that smell, but he did not insult her. The lady even opened her mouth to speak, and that was when BIDEMI felt like fainting. The mouth odor was strong. The lady looked at him and said, "Oh, what happened to your face?" BIDEMI looked at her and said, "Something." And he asked her, "So why are you here? You look pretty dressed, so why are you here? What are you waiting for?" And she turned and told him, "I just came out to sit down and think. I have a lot of things going on. I'm just here trying to think about my life." He turned closely to look at this lady. This lady looks a bit like SHALEWA. The lady, the bread seller. But it wasn't her. Was he hallucinating? Was he now seeing the bread seller in every woman? He told himself, probably it's my eyes. The eyes that are bulging out and making me to now imagine things. So he quickly apologized to the lady for the way he had stared at her. And the lady said, "No problem. So why are you here?" And BIDEMI said, "I just wish I could meet one lady," and apologized to her sincerely. Just an opportunity to get to see this lady. And the lady sitting close to him said, "Sorry, I didn't tell you my name. My name is Carol." And BIDEMI said, "I'm BIDEMI." And Carol told him, "Why do you want to apologize to her? What did you do?" And that was when BIDEMI opened up to this lady and told Carol everything that had happened that day. And how he woke up the next morning an ugly looking Kona pig. Carol told him, "Oh, sorry. I just hope that you get to see her." But she quickly asked BIDEMI, "But how are you going to do with that? You said she's a bread seller." And BIDEMI said yes. Then Carol told him, "Then I have an advice for you. Why not go to the major place where they dye bread? You know, these bread sellers don't just produce the bread at home, especially the ones that sell agege bread. They have where they purchase the bread from. If you go there, probably you might see her." So BIDEMI made up his mind that he was going to that place. He even thanked Carol greatly. He thanked her like a very important person in his life. Though he was trying to keep his distance because this lady, Carol had both mouth odor and body odor, but he was grateful for her advice. He was grateful for her opinion. So BIDEMI went back in, had a peaceful night rest, and even informed Kunle that they were going to go and start searching bread factory for the lady. But this did not pay off because everything they did, they never saw Shalewa. As BIDEMI always went out at 10 p.m. to sit in front of the estate gate, he had met this same lady called Carol. But this time around, she wasn't oozing or smelling anything. Rather, she was crying. And BIDEMI asked her what happened. Why are you crying? And Carol told BIDEMI that she lost someone. BIDEMI actually consoled her. He tried to look at her pain. He felt the pain. At some point, he even joined her to cry. He didn't know if he was crying because of what Carol said, or he was remembering his predicament and crying about it, but they were both crying. And when he returned that night, he slept peacefully. They still went around trying to search for this lady that had inflicted this pain on him, but they could not find her. And when he went out again on the third day, he saw Carol. This time around, she was looking for money to pay a taxi driver. And Carol quickly said that she misplaced her wallet while coming back. So BIDEMI told her no problem. And they talked. They kept on conversing. And everything was fine. Unknown to BIDEMI, all along, the lady he was talking to was Shalewa. Shalewa was there to know if BIDEMI was actually a changed person. Shalewa wasn't a spirit. Neither was she a bad person. She just wanted BIDEMI to feel people's pain, to feel people mock you, to feel when people look down on you. She asked BIDEMI, if there's something you really want in your life, what would that be? And BIDEMI said, I will want to meet that break Sarah, and I will apologize to her sincerely for everything I did that day. And Carol asked him, why? I thought you said it wasn't your fault. And BIDEMI said, yes, it wasn't my fault. My driver had done it, but I would have just said I was sorry. I was too proud to. And now I am in total loss. I barely go out. Even if I decide to step out, people laugh at me. People mock me. And Carol asked him, did you insult the lady? Did you tell her something that warranted all this on you? And BIDEMI said, yes, I did. I actually insulted her. I just wished I did not do any of this. I just wish I did not do any of this. Carol looked at him and said, okay, no problem. Since you helped me today, and since you've always stood by me for the past 3 days, don't worry. I'm assuring you that tomorrow, when you pass that market, you're going to see her. BIDEMI looked at Carol and said, why? Why do you think I'm going to see her? Moreover, you told me I should go and check out the bread factory, but I did not see her. Carol told him, had it been you go there every blessed day, you'd have seen her. It's because if you go today, you won't go tomorrow because you feel discouraged. Even if you don't see her tomorrow, go the next. That's how they do all this type of thing. Just imagine if someone now is trekking from a particular direction to that market. Now, maybe now she's coming from my one or from a different axis. If her bread should finish on the way, she'll go and buy. And when she gets to the factory to buy, when she's trekking back again, if the bread finishes and she has made her daily sales, she will return home. So you don't lose hope. Then BIDEMI looked at Carol and said, so are you praying that her bread does not finish on the way until she gets to me? Carol said, yes, that's my prayer. You seem to be a nice person and you seem to have changed because of your predicament. I hope your change remains constant. And BIDEMI laughed and said, I have changed and this change is going to be constant because it had taught me to appreciate people. They both laughed about it and went to bed. The next day, BIDEMI prepared everything on time and went there on his own, even without Kunle. And to his greatest surprise, like Carol had said, Shalewa was standing and hawking bread. In fact, she was selling to the particular old woman that had advised him that Shalewa might not even come or might not move around. At the moment the old woman saw BIDEMI, she quickly shouted, Oga, see that woman you are looking for. She came today. Since 2 weeks' time, she came the other day, but you did not come. BIDEMI was really excited to see her. And it clicked that what Kare said was true. He wasn't consistent in coming, and that was why he never saw the bread seller. But now that he was consistent, he had seen the bread seller. He quickly went down on his knees. He did not even bother that he was wearing a designer's clothes, and he apologized to SHALEWA. He told SHALEWA that he was sorry. He apologized sincerely to her. SHALEWA looked at him and said, "No problem, I have forgiven you." BIDEMI told her, "Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for everything." So BIDEMI left, and the next morning when he woke up, he had returned back to BIDEMI, the normal BIDEMI. He was glad. He was really, really excited. After he closed work for that day, he went to the gate side. He was waiting to see Carol. He really wanted to thank Carol for giving him an encouragement. But he waited throughout the night and Carol never showed up. And he remembered Carol's words again. Probably because he wasn't consistent. That's why he did not meet the bread seller. So this time around, he decided to be consistent in order to thank Carol. So every evening, exactly 10 p.m., the same time he always waits at the gate, he goes to the gate to wait for Carol. And one evening, while he was waiting for Carol, Carol sat down close to him. And when BIDEMI turned and looked clearly, it was the bread seller. And that was when it clicked. He turned and looked at her again and said, "You're the bread seller." Carol smiled and said, "Yes, I am." Then BIDEMI looked at her and said, "So what's your name? What's your real name?" And SHALEWA introduced herself. "My name is SHALEWA. And my name is also Carol. My name is SHALEWA Carol Adigoke. And I'm sorry for what I did to you. I just wanted you to learn. And I'm glad you did. Not just that you learned never to look down on people, but you also learned never to give up on anyone." BIDEMI said, "What do you mean?" And Carol said, "I always see you wait here to thank me. You were waiting for Carol, right? So I'm glad that you learned how to be patient with people and never to look down on anyone." BIDEMI looked at SHALEWA and thanked her greatly. But with the passing days, both BIDEMI and SHALEWA were friends. But it remained on friends level as BIDEMI made up his mind never to have feelings for SHALEWA. Being that SHALEWA could be a witch, if she could curse him and he had all those things on his face, there was no need keeping a good relationship with such a kind of person. He was just going to remain grateful to her, and that was just it. Thank you very much for listening to the story of the day. But still remain your favorite storyteller, Zika. Please, I would like you to share what you've learned from the story. The moral lesson of the story is never look down on anyone. Never look down on anyone. Please do not forget to support your homegirl by liking our stories, sharing our stories to your loved ones. Till we'll see you again in our next story. Bye for now.